I think it's going to be an enjoyable show this morning. Good morning, everyone. Sammy, United People's TV here after United have beaten Barnsley 7-0. Is that going to be the game of the season? No. Is it going to be something that we are allowed to enjoy? You're damn right. Celebration police are out. It's only Barnsley. Blah, 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 blah. We played Newport County last year, and we struggled through it. Let's not even talk about the Coventry FA Cup semi-final. That was a perfect night at Old Trafford. 7 goals, 2 for Rashford, 2 for Garnacho, 2 assists for Garnacho, 2 goals for Eriksen. Antony got a goal. Rotation. It was everything that game needed to be. And hopefully it's a big momentum builder because United have just scored 10 goals in the last 2 games. Sure, it's against Southampton, newly promoted, and Barnsley, but this is United we're talking about. The same United that has struggled to score more than 1 goal in most games for a long, long time. We're going to run through all the post-match reaction from Erik ten Hag, comments on Rashford, on Garnacho, on Antony, on the win itself. We'll speak about Ugarte's debut, Collyer at left-back. There's lots and lots of talking points. And I want to get your overall sort of feeling after, as I said, what was a fantastic night at Old Trafford. Who's here from the mod gang, from the member gang? I think it'll be a good show today. And we have plenty of shows where we come on here and it's like the bloody therapy room. So when it's a good win, you're allowed to enjoy it. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Let's have a quick look down here. Alex, good morning to you. Carl, you're there as well. Manoil. Josh, you're there as always. T, I saw you at the start of the show. And let's get one more. Who else here? We've got Biker Boy. We've got Natasha. Good morning to both of you. Rex, you're there too. Neil. We've got Chris, Ricky, Hydro. And on Facebook, we have Chris Wing. Good morning to you. Siraj, how you doing, buddy? Matt Frost and Alan. Good morning to all of you. And I can see. No, I did not get this shirt from the Megastore. I'm not sure I've ever bought anything. Have I ever bought anything from the Megastore? Probably when I was a kid. But not for a long time. That is what I will say. I can see down there, Calvin and Ashok. Calvin's gifted 20 memberships, right? Legend. Ashok's you've gifted 10. Legend to both of you. And I tell you what, this is very much a goody good morning. All right?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello.
That's exactly what it feels like. And this stat from Andy Mitten last night cracked me up. I believe that was the first time under Erik ten Hag that Manchester United has scored more than 4 goals. Trying to remember the games where we've done that before. We spoke about this last. I think was it Wolves last season, 4-3. I think the biggest wins under Erik ten Hag, we've had a 4-1 win twice. I think that was the biggest win. So 7-0 is a big old step up, right? It's the first time that United have won 7-0 since beating Barnsley 7-0. You know how funny that is? It's just the way the world works. Look at that. Andy Cole with a first half hat-trick. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with a hat-trick of assists. Giggs, Scholes and Poborski. Man, he had a big old head of hair. But that's just funny, the way that football world works. Barnsley, they were just kind of pulled apart, really, by United, which is, let's be totally honest, which is exactly what Manchester United should be doing. Right? This is United. We're playing League One opposition at Old Trafford in the League Cup. However, and as I said, there are so many examples that you could pull out over the last, 6, 7, 8 years? I don't even know how long. Games like this, whether it's MK Dons under Louis van Gaal, or Norwich, or Newport County last year, or Coventry last year. And there are honestly countless more examples of where United have just limped to a victory against a team where they should be comfortable. And that's the opposite of what we saw last night. It was a flowing, confident, and kind of almost, most importantly, clinical Manchester United. We were finding the back of the net. When Garnacho went through one-on-one, when Eriksen put him through, I think that was for the 4th goal. I just kind of sat back and I was like, sweet. It's going to score. Bam. Found the bottom corner perfectly. Luke, I can see you down there. Everyone's feeling chipper this morning. Another 10 gifted memberships. All of you, get inside that Discord. I'm determined to make that Discord the single best United Discord server that there is out there. We've started to, and I promise you, I'm not just saying this for lip service. Some of you might think I am, but I've just been focusing heavily on the content. Very soon, the attention turns towards the community, and in making that Discord even bigger and better, for example, I've got 3 shirts here that I'm going to be doing giveaways for. I've got 5 or 6 posters down there, and all of this I think is going to be existing inside of Discord. There's a lot more to come inside the Discord, but let's go to this. Cracked me up. Jamie with a top tier tweet there, telling my kids we beat Barcelona 7-0. I'm nabbing that one. I'm not nabbing that one. That made me giggle. Someone down there saying, who was it? Graphy, you're talking about United having squad depth, and that's a big thing. But like last night, as I said, we're just, for a long time, and I'm going to be doing my lunchtime video, of course, around the game and around some big talking points, because I think there's a lot of development, hopefully, that will come from that game. But I've been saying for so long, not so much this season, I suppose not really towards the end of last season, but over the last couple of years, I've been, at some point, Manchester United are going to click. At some point, Man United are going to put a team to the sword. It's exactly what they did. Mark, you're asking down there saying about the soundboard. The soundboard, I was surprised, I'll be honest, I was surprised at the lack of entrance. Hardly anybody really. I think there was like 10 people who submitted, and it kind of got pushed to one side. Joe, I need to speak to Joe. Alex, if I can speak to you after. As I say to you, I really struggle to keep on top of everything for the community, so I really need involvement from like chief mods to drive the soundboard, bring all the stuff to me, and I'll be able to do it. But if I'm left with the task of downloading everything, cutting everything, I don't have time to do it. I really don't have time, hence why it's not happened. It's not because I'm being an arsehole. I just don't have time to do it with all the other content that I'm doing. There's a lot going on. I really liked this from Erik ten Hag last night, this comment. It's really important. Like, this is something that we as United fans, we can't... It's hard not to get caught up in the moments, all right? It is. After that Liverpool game, that was so bruising. But Erik ten Hag saying, I'm not devastated after Liverpool, now I'm not celebrating. And it's about making sure the lows aren't bottoming out. Making sure the highs aren't you getting carried away. If you can stay somewhere in the middle consistently across the course of the season, you will put yourself in a better position. But as I said earlier, Manchester United were clinical in that game last night. All right, let's start talking about individuals. You can fire it in the comments, questions about players or questions about the overall performance, but there really is only one. That's Erik ten Hag. There really is only one player I want to start. In fact, no, sod that. Before I speak about any players, I want to speak about that, because that right there, for me, was the biggest indicator of development. Mazraoui on the bench, they came on, surprisingly. They played well, and no injuries. Mazraoui rested, De Ligt rested, Martinez rested, Bruno Fernandes rested, Onana rested, so that's 5 out of the starting 11. Xerxes was taken out as well, so that's 6. Rotating the team is going to be so crucial. Now, if we had rotated that many players last year and in the first year, there would have been such a big drop-off. We wouldn't have been able to play, not that we've been playing incredible football across the course of the season, but any patterns or something that we had seen would just go out the window when you take that many players out. But we took 6 out yesterday. And yeah, it was Barnsley, but we still played good football. The pass from Garnacho to Rashford for the opener. The move from United with the second, with the penalty from Antony. United coped with the rotation, and therefore we put ourselves in a strong position. Now, Bruno came off the bench and got 2 assists, by the way. I'm guessing that's why Erik ten Hag put him on. The Mazraoui one I was surprised about, and De Ligt. I don't really know why Mazraoui or De Ligt came on, but maybe we just had no alternatives. Collyer was playing left back. Don't really know what happened with Amas. Anybody see anything about Amas? I just don't know whether he was involved in the squad. Someone asking whether I was surprised to not see Ethan Wheatley get minutes. Honestly, not particularly. I'm just not. Xerxes had to get minutes ahead of him. Right, someone sent us. Oh, wow, Joe, thanks for the super chat, dude. What are you saying? I'll read this one out and I'll read some of your comments out. What do you think would constitute success for United in the modern era? Big question. Because Fergie won a league every 2 years and a Champions League Euro every 9 years and FA Cup every 5 to 6 years, which we will never be able to replicate again. Fergie's grip on the league, Fergie never finished lower than third, right? I think that's a fact, which is just unbelievable. City have just got such a stranglehold in the league. It's until they get rightly charged or Guardiola leaves, and then Sod knows what's going to happen. They might be able to cope with that transition well, in the same way that we're seeing what happens with Liverpool post-Klopp, where that slot's going to be able to slot right in. Success in the modern era would be United winning the big pots again. Fergie should have won more Champions Leagues. Let's not speak about what happened in a couple of those. I don't know what success is, but I know it means Manchester United winning the Premier League and winning the Champions League again. How often? I've got no idea. But that's going to come down to creating a dynasty. That dynasty might be the wrong word to use, but football is cyclical. We know it's cyclical. The United cycle right now has been a long time in the dumps, but we will come back through. Did Harry Mass play in the under-21s day before? Don't know. Right, let's move on. Let's speak about individuals. Like as a collective there, look at that for a front three. Was it the front three? Yeah, it was. Eriksen was we had Ugarte and Casemiro as the two central midfielders. Eriksen was kind of in the number 10. Almost playing deep sometimes, and not in a typical number 10 like running as high as Bruno would. Rashford and Garnacho. No, actually, no, that's a lie. Antony was on the right-hand side. So it was Antony on the right, Rashford through the middle. Yeah, Eriksen was in the number 10. 2 goals and 2 assists from Garnacho. 2 goals and an assist from Rashford. And I can see a lot of praise for him down there. I was going to mention him later in the show, but let's just quickly mention him briefly here at the start, right? Because I think he definitely deserves to be mentioned. Eriksen yesterday just makes you wish that there were games where he was afforded more space, where he was afforded more time on the ball. And I suppose you could say that about any good playmaker in the world. If you give good playmakers who have vision, time on the ball, and you give their runners space in behind like Rashford and Garnacho and Antony, then they're going to have a fun night. And it's exactly what Eriksen did yesterday. Eriksen's still got the vision. Of course he does. The pace of the game is beyond him now at his age and having seen what's happened to him health-wise. But you can see Xerxes, Ahmad, Bruno, Garnacho all congratulating him. And it was a really strong performance from Eriksen, who's now started 2 games in a row. Does that mean that Erik ten Hag wants to get him back fitness-wise, or is it just that he's using Eriksen? That Eriksen came in for Casemiro, surprisingly, against Southampton. Actually did very well. What else are you saying down here? Someone saying we want to beat the best Guardiola team. We're still some way off it in the league. We know we are. I think on a game-by-game basis, United can compete with the top teams sometimes, and then other times our asses fall out. Beating City in the FA Cup final, then losing 3-0 to Liverpool at Old Trafford. On a game-by-game basis, we can compete with the best, but we can't do it across the course of a season yet. That's what we need to see whether we can do. But of course, there were two attackers who stole the show. I'll speak about Antony after, but I really want to speak about Rashford and Garnacho. And let's speak about Rashford first, right? Someone let me know in the comments, right? From your experience, do you remember anybody who's more of a confidence and form player in a United shirt than Marcus Rashford? Because I'm sure there are some that you can have. Oh yeah, that's kind of a fair point. That first goal from Rashford, the ball over from Garnacho was wonderful. Rashford still had a fair bit to do, and it was the bit for me where, you know, when Rashford's looking really sharp and he's agile and he's just got those like really sharp movements, and almost like he can fake go in one direction that knocks the defender off balance and just gives him an extra yard. That's exactly how he skipped past the defender. And Rashford hasn't done that in so long. The finish was kind of a typical Rashford finish. Lots of power into the side netting. And he pulled out the finger celebration, and it's the first time I think he's done that this season. Alex, you're saying Louis Saha was a form player, Nani, Martial, Andy Cole. Man, you're going really far back here. Martial, I don't think anybody down here who, for me, is more of a form and confidence player. Maybe form, yeah, but more of a confidence player than Rashford. It's kind of like the energy and the fuel for his game. Because he plays at such pace and directness when he's on form, when he's unstoppable. You need the confidence and the ability to do that. And Erik ten Hag spoke about him after the game, and he said this. He said, look, when I see Rashford smiling, I'm calm. I'm fine. He's going to score. And I think that's just how Rashford played yesterday. He played like he's got a bit of a smile on his face. And he probably does, because he's now got 3 goals in 2 games. And it makes a big, big difference. The first goal was great. I can't remember what the second goal was now. That's when you know United have had a good game. What was Rashford's second goal? Penalty. Garnacho. Nah, completely forgotten. That's when you know you've had a good game, right? When you can't remember a goal that was scored the night before. Left foot. Still can't remember what it was. Someone tell me. Left foot. What did he do? Anyway, doesn't matter. What else are you saying down here in the comments? Sam, he stopped the celebration last season. Well, that was the first time that we've seen it. All right, there they go. Left foot. Yep, I've got it now. Left foot into the bottom corner. Thank you very much. Right. What else are you saying down here? Berbatov was the ultimate form player. I love Berbatov, man. I remember going to Old Trafford years ago and seeing United play Birmingham, I think it was. Was it Birmingham? In fact, what was the score in that game? Was that 7-0? Man United. Oh, it was 5-0. Was it 5-0? Yeah, I remember going to this game. Little blast from the past, this bad boy. Jeez. Rampant United crushed Birmingham as Berbatov hit a hat-trick with a Ryan Giggs masterful display. Whoo. When was that? 2011. Oh, I didn't know what was coming then. None of us did. Jeez. Anyway, let's not speak about that. Let's just speak about how wonderful it was to see these two just flowing with such confidence. And this is where I think the disclaimer is fair. It was only Barnsley. No one's going to look back at the season and say, "Oh, that was a performance in the game of the season." But United just don't do this. United just haven't done this. That's the biggest win we've had under Erik ten Hag. That's the first time that Erik ten Hag's team has scored 5 or more goals. And that's the first time, that's the most we've scored, I think, since we beat Southampton 9-0 under Solskjaer when it was COVID years. I think so anyway. What else are you saying down here? No mention of Antony. I thought he did well. Hold on here. We're 20 minutes into the show here, Daz. There's loads of talking points here, but we're doing it one at a time. You can't speak about them all at once. Otherwise, it's not a show, is it? You just get it all out. Because we need to speak about Garnacho next. Joe's saying you can only play what's in front of you. I know, but it's just, you know what people will do. There's no United fan that's going to be like going down the pub at the weekend to say, "Oh, we beat Barnsley 7-0 and trying to brag about it." But in the context of our season, in the context of what we've seen, to go out and do that and to dismantle a team like that and to keep going, by the way. It's 2-0. We didn't just sit back 3-0. We didn't sit back 4-0. Didn't sit back 5-6. Didn't sit back. Got the 7th. Could have been more. Garnacho easily could have had a hat-trick. And I tell you what, right? Garnacho. First of all, the impact that he's having this season is incredible. And something I've really enjoyed, and something that I personally think is worthy of a little mini documentary at some point. I like the fact that Erik ten Hag has not just played him every single game, not played him for the full 90 minutes. Last season, right, we were heavily reliant on Garnacho. As a 19-year-old, it was unfair that he was starting 38 consecutive games for Manchester United. And it shouldn't have been the case, but we didn't really have any alternatives. We didn't really have anywhere to look. We didn't have anybody else we could rely on or lean on. Erik ten Hag has been trying to get Rashford back into form, and he's now got 3 goals in his last 2 games. But despite only starting 2 times, Garnacho's got 4 goals and 3 assists. I think right now he has a goal or an assist every 29 minutes, something like that. As much as I love the impact that Garnacho has on the starting 11, boy, his impact from the bench has been so good. And I'll tell you what, the impact that he had from the starting 11 yesterday, there was one particular moment where I think it was in the first half when Garnacho tried to pass it across to Eriksen. There was a ball over the top, and just Garnacho had this burst of pace and just skipped past 2 Barnsley defenders. Sure, it might have just been slow Barnsley defenders, but Garnacho looked sharper. You know, in the same way that, and by the way, Kobbie Mainoo got a full rest, not 1 minute of football. Right? Mainoo looks tired. Mainoo looks fatigued. Garnacho looks the opposite. Garnacho looks fit, sharp, and ready. And I think part of that is because Erik ten Hag has used him correctly. Now, there's going to be people that are going, Erik ten Hag's an idiot for not starting Garnacho every game over Rashford, blah, 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 blah. Erik ten Hag is trying to manage his options. He's even trying to get Antony with a little bit of form. Got a goal yesterday. I'll speak about Antony soon. But Rashford's now got 3. Amad, probably out of the 3 players, you'd say has been the most informed winger that we've had so far this season. But Rashford's now got 3 goals. Garnacho's got what? 4 goals and 3 assists. I don't know what Amad's return is. He got an assist in the last game. He got a goal in the game before. Options here. Genuine attacking options. Now, the one where we don't really have too much option right now is through the middle. Rashford did play through the middle yesterday, so technically you could play him through the middle against Palace, but it's not for me, man. Barnsley played with a back 5 yesterday. There were spaces, somehow, because they played with wing-backs. I'd rather see Marcus Rashford always play on the left-hand side, even if he scores a couple of goals through there. But let's have a little conversation quickly about Garnacho. What do you think? Owen saying I'm not fully on the Amad train. Amad is easily the most technical out of any of our attackers. With the ball at his feet. When the game is slowed down. The game's played at a fast, rapid transition pace. Rashford can play like that, very good. But Garnacho, very, very good at direct at players. But when the game slows down a little bit, and he needs someone a bit more technical, Amad is a level above both Garnacho and Rashford. And able to pick a pass in ways they're probably not quite able to pick a pass either. Chetan saying he didn't play much in Copa America. Exactly. But that's why I was so happy that he went to Copa America. First of all, because I knew that the experience of going there and being with Messi would be brilliant, and also winning Copa America. And also, he wouldn't have to play as much. Whereas Mainoo, when he came into the team, when he came into the England team, every single game, the whole way through, nearly. Well, not the whole way through, but you get my point. Sam, you sent a super chat here saying, just need to start beating teams at the bottom of the league like this. Maybe not 7-0, but need to see more games where we beat 3-4-5-0, as this game proves we can be clinical. Sam, I think last night the The thing I really enjoyed the most, well, first of all, it was the rotation, but B, it was the fact that United are playing Barnsley. United should be putting Barnsley to the sword, and we absolutely delivered on what was expected of us. We had so many of those games under Fergie. Come in and you go, that's a banker. Turns out to be 3-0. You just swan home. You go, oh, that was a good game. I enjoyed that. That was as difficult or as easy as it needed to be. Whereas United have just got a bad habit and have had a bad habit for a long time now of making the simple stuff difficult, of making the easy games hard. And it's fatiguing. It's fatiguing as a fan, let alone as a player. So to do that last night, and that's what people were, Eric Ten Hag's an idiot for bringing on Bruno Fernandes. I was like, mate, dude, it's 5-0, man. It's like a training ground game at that point. And he got 2 assists, had a lovely time, enjoyed himself. Didn't get stretched once. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. If we score 2 or more against Palace, it won't be easy, by the way. Palace, I'm not looking forward to that game, if I'm totally honest. First of all, how we played there last year. Second of all, Palace are a good team. They really are. Glaston's got them playing very, very well. Let me see what you're saying down here. People are asking about my starting 11 on Sunday. I'll tell you when the starting 11 video goes out tomorrow, probably. And it's saying Garnacho gets slated for being only direct, but that crossfield pass was filth. Oh, yeah, dude, he's learning. Of course he is. He's only just turned 20, right? Garnacho is developing. Man, he's developing into a star in front of our eyes. I love Garnacho. I love Rashford. I really, really do. And we've got Ahmad there as well. And we've got options. Eric Ten Hag, big smile on his face. Absolutely got a big smile on his face. And so have I after watching this lad. All right? There's still plenty of players we're going to be speaking about, but I want to speak about Ugarte, right? I've been waiting. We've been waiting. Okay? Ugarte got, 65 minutes yesterday? Was it the most incredible performance? I think it was what it needed to be. That's what I would describe Ugarte's debut. A game where, well, despite the fact he got a massive cut on his knee and somehow that was a foul against him, he seemed all right. But just having a midfielder, and again, we're going to go back to basics when I describe this, but having a midfielder that puts him, genuinely can put himself about for the whole game is important. Casemiro can't do that anymore. Eriksen can't do that anymore. We don't have legs in midfield, and we don't have the energy to cover any sort of space, to close down any duels and then be able to sprint out of it. Hence why he actually played quite well yesterday, but Casemiro typically now lunges into tackles because he doesn't have those 2 yards. We need Ugarte. Now, I think Ugarte, and probably, I think I said this in my match reaction as well. I'll speak about Collyer in a bit, but I think both Ugarte and Collyer were a little bit overzealous in putting their foot in too much. And being, like split second too late. I'll tell you what, did Ugarte get a yellow card yesterday? He must have made like 5, 6, kind of like tackles that broke up the game, but not a bad enough tackle that it warrants a yellow card. Now, I don't know whether that was, maybe it was on purpose, maybe he just understands that. And he's South American. He will understand that side of the game. That's what Casemiro was king at Real Madrid. And then at United, the red card from Casemiro kind of changed sort of how referees looked at him. Yeah, I didn't think Ugarte got a yellow card. Now, I don't know whether that was because of the referee just being lenient or because Ugarte was smart enough to just make those little, like, kind of snidey tackles, just kind of put your foot in to break the play up, slow it down a little bit, but not bad enough that you're going to give me a yellow card. Or whatever, he got a yellow card. I don't really care. I enjoyed watching Ugarte yesterday. And I know that he's going to have an impact. You know how last season I was talking about the transformative effect that Amrabat could have. And I still, by the way, I still believe if we used a system where Amrabat had a midfield partner, we would have got a lot more out of Amrabat last season. When we used him in the isolated number 6 role, in the same way as Casemiro was exposed, Amrabat was exposed, and his best performance came in the FA Cup final when he had a midfield partner. Ugarte will be big for us. I'll see what you say in the comments. Showed good strength in keeping the ball and progressing it. There was one point, where I think he received the ball he was facing goal, but turned, held off a Barnsley player and drove probably the ball about 20 yards forward. So it was good ball carrying from him. Some of the passes were off, but you're going to see it, right? I think I've already started seeing it. There was an article in the Times after his debut against Southampton saying, like, Ugarte's was defensively very solid, but his passing was a little bit, It's like, that's not why we signed him. We haven't signed Ugarte to bring 30, 40 yards sprayed switches of play. I mean, he can do it, but it's not going to be something that you see a lot of. He's the simple man. He's the recycler of possession. That's why he was signed. And I think just across the course of the season, we're going to be like, oh my God, it's so good to have a defender, a midfield defender like Ugarte. Steve, you said super chat there. We now have a bull and a butcher. Feels like you can make some sort of poster out of that. I'm not going to. Or maybe I will. Don't know. But I enjoyed watching Ugarte's debut. Right? And he enjoyed it as well, by the way. He's having a great time. Somebody needs to get me the photo of... Someone's got to get a high-quality photo of him with that like blood streak on his face. That'll be a good one. Let me see what you're saying down here. Sam, having Ugarte sit in front of Martinez and Delect, I can see our goal having less shots on it. Well, we've had less shots on our goal this season, far less than I think than last season. That wasn't very difficult because of how many shots we were conceding. But yeah, Ugarte, and I think he did it pretty well actually. I said that one of my fears of Ugarte this season is that he might get too swept up into the occasion and drift out of position, and then all of a sudden we've got a massive space where he's not there because he's trying to win the ball by chasing it down. I think that will only work in certain occasions. I don't want to see him doing that constantly. Pre-Ugarte, when did Casemiro last have a shot? He's always shooting. Casemiro, look. Do you think it's instructions from Erik ten Hag? Something Casemiro always does, like at least 3 or 4 times a game, is when the ball is rolling to him, he'll just absolutely thump it first time and try and do those balls where the shape of it kind of curves around. So if there's any runners of going past the last defender, the ball will sort of slow down and come into their path as they're running onto it. Casemiro always tries those. Did one yesterday that worked really well for Garnacho on the other side. It kind of feels like it's a little bit instructional. Like Casemiro very much loves to do the first time big pass. Works sometimes, doesn't work all the time. Ugarte is the opposite. He'll take control of the ball and find a teammate. That's what I mean. We don't need Ugarte to do those big spraying passes. If Casemiro's playing, that's what he does. If Eriksen's playing, that's what he does. Ugarte, retain possession, find a teammate. Boom. Now, if we talk about getting players back into form, I don't really think, okay? I don't really think across the course of this season that Antony's going to prove me wrong. I would love to think so. I don't think it will happen, but I'd love to, and I'd love to be proven wrong. I thought Antony played well yesterday. After the first 10, 15 minutes when he looked really kind of up until the penalty. The move for the penalty, winning the penalty, scoring the penalty. And after that, he looked okay, but anytime he drove past his playing there. A lot of what Antony was on display yesterday. And Antony's is behind Ahmad, he's behind Garnacho, and he's behind Rashford, and Antony kind of did what I thought he would do. Got the penalty. Yeah, good finish. All right. Yeah, Klein, just keep playing him in the cup games. I don't know. I think we find out who we play in the 4th round next week because of all the extra Europa League games. They've split the League Cup game weeks in 2. So I think after next week, I think we find out who we get in the 4th round. Right? Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe it, Catalin. Antony played well, but not good enough to get Ahmed out of the team. Or good enough to get in there ahead of Garnacho. Because now against Crystal Palace, or maybe not, right? Against Crystal Palace, you could conceivably see Rashford through the middle, Garnacho on the left and Ahmed on the right. It's a possibility. We'll see. But Antony, fair play. I thought he played okay. But it's not going to change anything with our front options, if I'm being completely honest. Not right now, anyway. As I said, Bruno coming off the bench yesterday was a bit of a surprise. Let me go read some of your comments out about Antony, right? I'll do this first. Antony should be a left back. Nah, that's happened twice, isn't it? And he was pissed both times. Pissed. I'm convinced that if you're like a Brazilian and you're a left back, you just kind of failed at being an attacker. I might be wrong in there. Any Brazilians in the comments? Surely if you're like Brazilian, you're playing like beach volleyball, you're playing beach football. Man, it's all about joga bonito. It's all about attacking. Why on earth would you turn into a defender? Don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And you're saying if Antony does well, it just raises his value, which is good for us. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. You want as many players in form as you possibly can have, even players that you might not particularly think have got a future at the club. Antony being one of them. 80 million we spent on him. Jeez. It's mad, that, isn't it? Yeah, Roberto Carlos was... I might actually have to go after this and watch the Nike advert from the airport. Man, I used to love that as a kid. I mean, I couldn't do any of it. I was a distinctly bang average footballer. But I did like that advert. Someone saying that he's nowhere near the first 11, but with some confidence could be a good bench option. Yeah, that's all that Antony kind of needs to be, right? That's all Antony needs to be. A bench option for United. Now, coming from the bench yesterday was Bruno, which I think surprised a few of us, quite a lot of us, that Bruno was even coming on. But given that it was 5-0 when he came on, and given that the pace of the game was very much in United's hands, there was no chance that Barnsley were going to get back into the game. So therefore, there was no real need to overstretch at any point. Erik ten Hag obviously felt, and I think we can all kind of agree, so far this season, Bruno hasn't quite, not in every game. First game against Fulham, when he had those 2 chances, he goes, surprised he missed those. Bruno had a full-on summer. Bruno never gets a rest, and you might say, well, Sam, I didn't get a rest here. We didn't start the game. The hard work was done in the first 60, and then he just came on, and he just enjoyed himself. And in the 32 minutes that he was on the pitch, he created more chances than any other player who played the full 90. He got 2 assists. Yes, please. I'm fine with that. I'm surprised, as I said, I'm surprised that he played. But clearly, Erik ten Hag felt that he could do, not with the minutes, he could do with, if you can get Bruno with a couple of assists or even a goal, yeah, that will help him. In the same way that will help Marcus Rashford, in the same way that will help Alejandro Garnacho, in the same way that will help Antony. I think that's probably why he brought him off the bench, right? Eriksen showed Bruno how to finish. I bet Bruno knows how to finish, definitely. All right? Bruno knows how to finish. Ross, you're saying I would have played Xerxes in the number 10 Bruno role and brought on Wheatley as a number 9 to test out the Xerxes and Højlund dynamic. I think we'll test out the Xerxes and Højlund dynamic when Højlund is fit. Xerxes, I wonder how his season's going to go, man. I really do wonder. He's not going to be scoring 20 goals. I mean, that's not why he was signed. Which you might therefore say, well, Sam, why do we sign a striker who we don't have confidence going to score 20 goals? Because he's a link-up. Yeah, he almost plays in that Bruno role with someone like Højlund alongside or in front of him. That's fine. We'll find out. But Bruno, I was happy that he got a couple of assists from the bench. And somebody who certainly, in my opinion, impressed last night was Collyer. You know how Mourinho had McTominay? Gave him that random... He made an award up at the end of the year to give it to Scott McTominay. my prediction is Collyer is going to become that guy for Erik ten Hag. I'm not saying that Collyer is going to come in and score 10 goals for Manchester United, but I think Collyer is going to be the player that develops inside this squad, and every squad needs these players, that develops inside this squad, and the manager will say, this is my task for you. Can you do it? Yeah, I can do it. No problem. I need you to play left back. I've got that. No problem. Can you play? Yeah, no problem. What do you need me to do? I think that's what Toby Collyer strikes me as he's going to be like the dream sort of player for a coach. Just somebody who does exactly what is asked of them. And it's been said from when we signed him from Brighton for the under-18s coach at Brighton who signed him, and it's been said at United as well, like he can run for years. And that's kind of what you saw at left back. There were a couple of situations where he got caught going forward, but burst straight back. He was a little bit overzealous in the tackle. But tackling at left back, when you're covering all that space, instead of in midfield, when you're part of a midfield partnership, you have to disrupt. You have to put your foot in. But if you stick your leg out at left back, you've got all that space in behind. Yeah, it can be a problem. And that's something that he will have to learn. But I actually enjoyed watching him playing at left back yesterday. And I think Erik ten Hag's trying it out. Because if you remember as well, United's fullbacks, previously, fullbacks all about overlapping the wingers, taking the defender away and giving the winger room. Our fullbacks now are kind of inverted. All right? They go central. So it actually kind of means that instead of the fullback doing the overlapping run, the fullback kind of comes inside and does more of an underlapping run, plays centrally. That drags the defender there, which means the winger, Rashford or Garnacho or Ahmed, could therefore go on the outside for a different reason. So in that sense, if you've got inverted fullbacks who play a little bit more centrally, then you can understand exactly where Toby Collyer fits in that role. I'm going to go down and read some of your comments here. Man, he's got an absolute end. Yeah, Ross, you talking about John O'Shea or Phil Neville. Every squad needs different types of players, man. You can't have a squad of 11 superstars. I mean, you can, I suppose, on paper, when you've got an absolute dream team that just gets built. But you need your John O'Sheas. You need your, just strikes me as a perfect coach's player. Yeah, Salvatore, I agree with you. I think he made too many kind of silly fouls yesterday. Just overzealous, putting his foot in a little bit too much. He'll have to learn that as a left back. You can't really put your foot in as much. And sometimes you have to step off, kind of like square up to your defender, the attacker, and make them make the first move, and then you're ready, rather than putting your foot straight in. I think he'll learn that as the first time he's played left back. Yeah, Ross, you're talking about Mazraoui, and I need to quickly have a conversation here about Mazraoui. I should have had a photo of him up, but I didn't. All right. Let me just get this. Because Mazraoui, of course, came off the bench last night. And honestly, I think I've said it before, and I'll just continue to say it again. I think in terms of all of our new signings, Mazraoui is the one that has settled in the most. Mazraoui is the one that looks most comfortable, the quickest. And I just want to rewind a few weeks, okay? Lots of conversations that we had here around Wan-Bissaka and around Mazraoui. And the whole way through, I said, you can't be angry that Manchester United don't have a style of play and an identity. And then at the same time, be angry that Man United are moving Wan-Bissaka on, who's got 1 year left on his contract, for 15 mil to West Ham, and bringing in Mazraoui for the exact same price, like zero outlay. In fact, we may have made a little 1 or 2 mil profit on Wan-Bissaka leaving and Mazraoui coming in. And there's a reason for that. Mazraoui knows the system of Ten Hag's football so much better than Wan-Bissaka ever could naturally. Wan-Bissaka tried his best to learn, and he improved and he developed. But he won't ever be able to be on the level that Mazraoui is in terms of how confident you are with the ball at your feet, which has been such a big problem. Mazraoui Looking great, man. And we'll touch wood every single game, and we'll do it across the course of the entire season. Just please stay fit, dude. Injuries have been what have plagued his career, not his quality. He was great at Ajax, and there's a reason that Bayern Munich signed him. But injuries have stopped him from developing further as a player. And right now, you're seeing just somebody who brings in a lot of composure, man. That's what he brings. Give me the ball. I've got it. Oh, there's two players who had them, man. I've got that. Of course, he's an upgrade on Wan-Bissaka. He always was an upgrade on Wan-Bissaka. And that, as I said, that's why I found it really strange. I've talked about this all the way through the summer. Not all the way through, but when it came to the conversations, I said it's really, really strange how much energy people have got towards United moving Wan-Bissaka on as if it's a bad thing. It was never a bad thing. The question mark was whether or not Mazraoui was going to be fit enough at United. And he is been top quality so far. Really consistent. Someone, I think it was down there saying he's Mr. Dennis Irwin, Mr. 7 out of 10. That's what Dennis Irwin was famous for. Not the greatest player that we ever had, but 7 out of 10 every single game. That's what Dennis Irwin gave you. And right now, that's what Mazraoui has done. Every single game, 7 out of 10. No problems. Looks good. Not overstretched. Really good in possession. And experience. Exactly what you're saying down there, Stephanie. Yeah, I've really, really enjoyed watching Mazraoui so far. Really have. So, mate, just dude, stay fit. All right, stay fit. That's going to be the clincher. That's going to be what defines whether or not Mazraoui is a good signing. But we've seen that he's got more than enough quality. It's just about fitness. Saeed saying, saw a post online somewhere said we should sell back Mazraoui to Bayern and buy him back for more money. He's been that good. He has been very good. And of course, there's much, much bigger and more difficult games coming up. We've got Palace away next in the league. And then we've got Twente at home in the Europa League to kick off that. Should be, hopefully, another. I'm not saying we're going to beat them 7-0, but it's a game where United are going to be favourites going into a game. And let's see if we can do it again. After that, we've got Spurs at home. And after that, we've got Villa away. So our next 3 Premier League games are Palace away, Spurs at home, Villa away. 3 big games coming up before the next international break. Yeah, Mr. Bojangles. First of all, good name. Second of all, I agree. That's, in my opinion, why there was kind of energy with people supporting Wan-Bissaka is because he maintained a level of professionalism. He didn't chat shit. He wasn't like doing angry posts. He wasn't calling his manager a liar. He wasn't shrugging. He wasn't. He just got on with what he was doing, and he tried his best to develop, and he did develop. But also, he kind of reached a plateau. He reached a ceiling point where I don't think he was going to get any better. And because he's not as comfortable in possession, certainly under pressure, we weren't able to build up through the right-hand side anywhere near enough. So that is why he's been such an upgrade. Frogman, thanks for asking, dude, saying, how's your foot? Mate, my foot and my leg are... I've already had surgery before on the other one, and I've dealt with it fine. This one has properly knocked me... It's turned me into a hermit. Because I still don't have the strength back in it. And it's 7 months now. Although I'm starting something with... Big up Susie, my partner. We're doing something from the 1st of October for 75 days. There's going to be no drinking, no anything. And I think I need that kind of reset. Once I've done that, I think come Christmas time, I'm hoping to be back in the game. Back running, back doing the good stuff. Because right now, I still can't do any of that. Don't undervalue your health, people. Trust me. I know I sound like an old man. I'm only 35. I shouldn't be talking about these sorts of things. But, well, I am. I'm hoping for Christmas. But last couple minutes of the show, can you all just like fire in any questions you want to ask me? Maybe about the game last night, about just anything overall. But it felt good, man. It just felt good to just steamroll a team. It's been a long time since we've been able to say that. Where we just delivered in a game where we should be delivering. And even more than that. 2 goals for Rashford and an assist. 2 goals for Garnacho and 2 assists. 2 goals for Eriksen and an assist. And a goal for Antony. Ugarte making his debut. Erik ten Hag heavily rotating his team. United delivering. Neil, how you doing, buddy? He's saying, who do you start at right back if Shaw is fit and plays left back? There'll be games where you use Delo and there'll be games where you use Mazraoui. United don't really have options at fullback right now. Amas, I'm guessing he was injured or he played for the under-21s and wasn't deemed fit enough to play. Either way, we played Collyer at left back and Mazraoui had to come off the bench for Delo because we didn't have any other options. We need Luke Shaw back fit. I mean, this is Luke Shaw's last season at the club. We're going to get a left back in the summer. All right. Mazraoui, he was at Old Trafford, but yeah, I don't know the thing about Mazraoui either. And Amas right now, we don't know. Alex is saying, do you think Binder will get more opportunities now he's made his home debut? I don't think so. I like to think that Binder will be not just become a cup goalkeeper and used for just cup games only, and that Onana will never play in the cup games. But I'd like to see Binder get some more minutes because you need to have. What if Onana gets an injury? You need to have your second choice ready and prepped to come in. How good is it to have strength in depth, says Des. Again, man. Yeah. We made 7 outfield changes last night to the 11. And we still played as good as we did. That's something that couldn't have happened last year. Would not have happened last year. We wouldn't have had the depth. Would have been playing loads more youngsters. And you kind of would have been just begging that something like that would happen last night. Chigbo, can this be considered an improvement given how much we fought against Newport and Coventry? That's what I said at the start of the show, dude. It is development in that sense. And there will be people that say you can't, it's only Barnsley, blah, 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 blah. You can only beat what's in front of you. And United have struggled so much and so often against teams like this. I think we can celebrate, and we should. And I think hopefully it'll be a mark of development. And I'm going to speak about that in a bit more detail in the lunchtime video today. Anybody enjoyed a little cheeky Van Dijk video that got dropped yesterday? I released that originally like 4 or 5 months ago, but the timing wasn't right. So I waited. I dropped it earlier. Why not? And we're still working on 2 mini docs, one on media bias against United, one on South American scouting, and a big stadium deep dive. That's the big one. Jonathan, thank you for gifting 5 memberships, dude. And you're talking about positional fluidity. I like position. I'll be honest, this is kind of one element of Erik ten Hag's tactics I don't particularly enjoy, right? I like the positional fluidity in the attack. I like seeing the left winger turning up in the number 10 role, or the number 10 turning on right wing. I like that switch. However, don't really like it as much in defence. Like you randomly see Delo at left back and then Delo as central defensive midfielder and then Casemiro as left back, and it's like, obviously, I think part of that is that relationism. Is that where you don't actually specifically have a position, but you kind of move according to where your other players are on the pitch, and it's a new, not a new thing in football. I suppose it's quite a new style, and I find that a little bit annoying. But in terms of fluidity going forward, I like that. Look, ladies and gents, right? If you can't enjoy watching United beat a team 7-0, doesn't matter who they are, then football's not for you. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, all right? I'm going to speak about it in a little bit more depth at lunchtime today and focus on a few points in a bit more detail. We've got Palace away on Saturday evening. Not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. And if we are to take this momentum forward, 10 goals in 2 games, you've got to go and win away at Crystal Palace, which will not be easy. But I'll run through my starting 11 tomorrow. Today, we're going to focus on the game yesterday and the lessons that we learned. All right, thank you all for tuning in. Please do drop a like on the video. Thank you all for your super chats and for your gifted memberships. For all of you who haven't already joined the Discord, and I'm sure there are thousands more that haven't, by the way. You're missing out on it. It's completely free, and it's run by all of us here at United People's TV and the great mods like Joe and anybody else who tunes in here. Get involved, all right? Have a cracking day, because that was fun last night.